of the year a reality, reassuring them of his commitment to sustain investments in these new assets. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has inaugurated a 30-bed capacity Wulari Primary Healthcare Center, one of the numerous healthcare facilities constructed and equipped by the state government. The governor also flagged off distribution of free maternal health care drugs and consumables to health institutions in the state. Mohammed Goni reports.
The edifice, one of the 60 primary healthcare centers constructed by the present administration, is fully equipped with all medical necessities to bring healthcare service to the doorsteps of the citizens. Zanna Shetima, who spoke on behalf of the community, appreciated Governor Zulum for construction of roads, street lights, and healthcare center, assuring collaborative efforts to maintain the facilities.
These are the ministration within the last 3 years constructed and rehabilitated close to 100 health facilities in Borno State. We have also provided equipment and other medical infrastructures that are needed to support the healthcare delivery systems in the state.
The governor, who called for sustained maintenance of the center, also assured that government is making concerted effort to address issues of power supply to healthcare facilities and the state as a whole. Commissioner for Health, Professor Arab Alaji, highlighted achievements recorded in the health sector by the Zulum administration that include recruitment of staff of all cadres, provision of infrastructure, implementation of federal salary structure, upgrading of equipment and provision of drugs and consumables worth 900 million naira, among others. The occasion also featured presentation of free maternal healthcare drugs and consumables to some 81 plots were fully furnished, while 1 million naira checks were issued as furniture support to beneficiaries whose plots have not been furnished, including the wife of abducted Gobio Principal Medical Officer Dr. Bola Magaidam. Governor Zulum, who assured the wife of the abductee doctor of safe rescue of her spouse, also thanked the medical doctors for their sacrifices for the people of Borno and further urged them to maintain the edifice and directed 2 utility vehicles be provided to them for their daily movement. Governor Zulum also inaugurated 2.71 kilometer Ramad Wulari Road and the drainages initiated and completed by the present administration. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
And still talking health, multiple state-of-the-art healthcare facilities have been inaugurated in Osun State by Governor Boyega Oyetala. It was facilitated by the federal government through the Sustainable Development Goals SDG office and the presidency as part of efforts of the federal government to improve the healthcare delivery system in Osun and Nigeria at large. Bolaji Akim has details.
Two state-of-the-art health facilities have, among others, a 100-bed mother and child hospital, 80-bed multipurpose hospital, skill acquisition and entrepreneur center, as well as transit home and vocational center for abused women and girls. The projects located in Osogbo and Ibragbeji were facilitated by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals in partnership with Osun State. Governor Boyega Oyetola, while inaugurating the projects, expressed his administration's commitment to the health and well-being of the people of Osun. The governor also lauded President Muhammadu Buhari for considering Osun as one of the beneficiaries.
With this new and imposing facility, we are taking another permanent step closer to fulfilling our vision of empowering our people with a view to making them healthy, which will further boost our drive for sustainable economic development.
The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, Adejoke Urulepe Adifulure, commended the governor for striving to build a healthy population. She noted that the execution of the projects was in fulfillment of President Muhammadu Buhari's promise to provide quality healthcare services for Nigerians, particularly women and children.
All these projects are related to different goals of the SDGs, which the President promised Nigerian people. And doing this is to complement what the subnational government is doing.
The two host communities are expected to take full ownership of the health facilities. In Osogbo, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
In politics, 2 weeks to Osun decides. INEC and security agencies are finalizing preparations for a smooth exercise. Mayor Ogidi was at the INEC headquarters, Abuja, where a meeting was held this Saturday, and now reports.
It is Saturday affair. Osun governorship election holding Saturday, July 16th. A preparatory meeting holding also on Saturday, July 2nd. But first, a post-mortem of some sort for the June 18th Ekiti governorship election. INEC and security agencies give themselves a distinction in the exercise.
Security was well coordinated. The election was peaceful.
But bad outing for those traded on votes.
Vote buying remains a major area of concern. We are working with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to ensure the prosecution of persons arrested in the Ekiti governorship election.
Back to Osun governorship election, the state is devoid of pre-election anxiety. I pray the tempo is sustained. INEC chairman Mahmoud pleaded, but from the National Security Advisor to criminals, it's going to be fire for fire.
The NSC also urged excess members to build on the successes recorded from the Ekiti election, as some disgruntled politicians may attempt to sabotage the process.
Party primaries for 2023 general elections over, but the dust generated by the exercise still forming a toxic cloud. INEC records tell of 216 petitions already submitted, numbering 1,650,000 pages, requesting candidates' documents.
Nigerian elections, especially the conduct of primaries for nomination of candidates by political parties, is one of the most litigated in the world. Indeed, there are now far more cases challenging the breach of internal democracy within political parties than those involving the conduct of the main elections by INEC.
The release of those documents come with more job for the judiciary. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
The All Progressives Congress presidential standard bearer Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not meet with Governor Wike, whether in France or anywhere, has been reported in some sections of the media. A statement by Tinubu Media Group has acknowledged the fact that the APC presidential candidate holds Governor Wike in high esteem and that because of the national appeal of Tinubu's candidature, he will not hesitate to meet any important national leader when desirable. The statement adds that Asiwaju Tinubu, who is currently in France for some important engagements, will return to the country shortly. Former Minister of Transportation Chibuike Amechi has tasked APC supporters in Rivers State to embark on a grassroots mobilization and assured that the party is poised to win the 2023 general elections in the state. Amechi spoke shortly after he was given a grand reception on arrival at the Port Harcourt International Airport. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
This is the first time Amechi is coming to Rivers State after his exit from the Federal Executive Council and the APC presidential primaries. It was indeed a homecoming as party chieftains and APC supporters accorded him a heroic welcome. At a meeting held at the State Party Secretariat, the former minister pledged to unite the party in the state, enjoining party faithful not to be dissuaded by the antics of the ruling party in the state. He said APC will be on the ballot and would win the elections.
Trust the courts. Justice will be done. Don't be afraid. Go home and work. Our job is to do what? That's why I came. I came to thank you. I came to urge you to go home and work. Let all of us be unit leader. I came to a whole series of meetings and I'll be coming home regularly to make sure that
APC governorship candidate Tony Ko reaffirmed the party's commitment to winning the 2023 general elections and ensure that Rivers people get the dividend of democracy. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
About 70 people who were lured and harbored by a church in Ondo West local government area of Ondo State, under the pretense of religion, have been rescued by the Nigerian police force. Kayode Olorundare reports that 23 of them are children.
More than 70 people, including children and teenagers, were rescued from a church under lock and key in Ondo Town, Ondo State, by the men of Nigerian Police, Ondo State Command, the people who were abducted and kept in the church known as the Whole Bible Believer Church. Since January said they acted on the instructions that they must not go out and expect the second coming of Jesus Christ.
God gives us instructions. He told us way before in 7 days for a specific project to draw us closer to Him. It was just 2 months ago I was told to pray, to get some information from God.
Since I've been in secondary school, I've been there.
The father is having issue with the daughter. On what? That the daughter should not come to the church. Yes. So on that basis, the father did not pay the school fees. Then I said, you cannot force this your daughter like that.
Some relatives of the abducted people are waiting to reunite with them.
Since January this year, I've not set my eyes on my daughter. And she has gone to school to defer her admission. And she acted on the instruction of the pastor and the assistant pastor, who spoke to her that it is from the Lord. Rapture is coming by September 2022. And I want this child to follow us to our home so that we can give her parental care.
Police Public Relations Officer, Ondo State Command, Fumilayo Odunlami, said the church will be charged to court for illegal abduction and harboring after investigation.
By the time the police got to the church, just to see the pastor to invite him, the members of the church turned violent and assaulted the policemen. However, preliminary investigation revealed that some of these members have been in the church since January. An assistant pastor who claimed Jesus was going to come back by April and later told them rapture was going to take place by September 2022. So he encouraged them to stop schooling and...
You're watching Weekend File on the NTA. It's time for break.
The National Primary Healthcare Development Agency has commenced a nationwide operation to verify COVID-19 vaccination records and validate vaccination cards. This exercise will allow vaccinated individuals correct damaged QR codes and confirm personal information like name and date of birth. It will also enable the federal government to validate COVID-19 vaccination cards to identify those that have been acquired fraudulently. To verify your COVID-19 vaccination records, visit www.vaccination.gov.ng/verification-guide and follow the instructions. If newly vaccinated, wait for 24 hours before verifying your records. For intending international travelers, verify your records at least 1 week before your travel date to avoid delays at departure point. If you cannot access the website, call 0700-320-1122. This message is from NPHCDA.
Wash your hands, love each other, we go, we know.
Wake up the champion in your child. Give them energy to go further. Milo Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child.
Music is fuel that fires up our soul. Today, African music has a dominant place on the world map. This massive music movement creating waves across the globe.
I have seen the evolution and the growth of this industry.
But every movement starts with a story, and the best place to start any story is at the very beginning.
There's a primordial energy that can only have come from Africa.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
It's now available in 30 grams and 450 grams.
Motlalo, Nigeria are the 9th champions in this competition.
The 12th edition of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations is here with 12 teams including reigning champions and 9-time winners, Super Falcons of Nigeria, all in contention from July 2 to 23 in Rabat, Morocco. You can catch all the actions live on the NTA Network Service and NTA Sports 24, Channel 270 on StarTimes, 434 on StarSat and 731 on Free TV. Come, join us to promote another championship run by the Super Falcons. For your advert placement, please call Hawa on 0803 312 1022. Africa Women's Cup of Nations, Rabat 2022. Game on!
Welcome back. We've seen the Nigerian government taking strategic steps to boost the non-oil sector with an aggressive policy stance to grow trade exports between Nigeria and West African countries. How has the journey been? Comfort Amodu examines the policy direction of the federal government over the years towards increasing Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings with a closer look at efforts by the Export Council NEPC in this regard.
Developing countries are facing rising inflation and limited access to investment instruments following global economic shocks and dwindling oil revenues, with short and long-term fiscal impact on global economies. The war between Russia and Ukraine is particularly taking its toll on countries of the world, Nigeria inclusive. These global economic shocks are increasing the need for Nigeria to explore other alternative means, using trade as a key instrument for the promotion of a sustainable and steady economy by implementing workable policies and deploying interventions for stable growth.
The idea is to be able to address the needs to grow the economy on a competitive basis. So each segment of the society or each zone of the society has some strengths.
The strategic policy stance by the government to increase the country's foreign exchange earnings and participation in intra-African trade and global markets is focused on the non-oil sector of the country.
At the end of the day, it will generate employment, it will bring in the forex, it will develop our industries, and of course, it will bring up a better economy. So we're in partnership with a lot of other bodies to ensure that we promote non-oil export.
We are also doing a survey called Marketplace MSME Data Gathering. So we will now have in our database those companies that are, for example, if you are in fish production, we have companies that are producing fish feed. We'll be able to matchmake you.
I must give kudos to this administration. To me, I found a lot of fulfillment in our business because they also brought about policies that will not wipe out the local producers.
We have issued certificates to over 50 SMEs, and all these certifications were sponsored or financed wholly by the Nigerian Export Promotion Council.
Nigeria is fast becoming a highway for global brands, with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council positioning domestic warehouses, export trade houses and product hubs in West African countries to increase the visibility of made in Nigerian goods in international markets and for ease of doing business. Comfort Amodu, NTA News.
The realization of an efficient non-oil export sector that will facilitate foreign exchange earnings and boost the nation's economy depends largely on the provision of major interventions by stakeholders manning the Nigeria seaports. Industry players believe that though the government has curated the enabling environment backed by policies to ease trade operations, urgent solutions must be provided to solve the quagmire of export processing timeline. Abolade Salami reports.
The task of pulling the country out from among nations that rely on a monolithic means of revenue generation has resulted in the adoption of several economic policies initiated by the federal government to realize an export expansion program for commodities like cocoa beans, sesame seeds, cashew nuts, and soya beans to the tune of 50 billion naira. While the policies serve as roadmap to the actualization of vibrant non-oil export value chain, the major channel of facilitation, which is the seaports, according to data, handled about 191 million metric tons of cargo exports in 2019. The Apapa Seaport, which currently houses one of the largest shipments of consignment on a daily basis, is receiving attention as the congestion is ongoing to free the corridor of gridlock.
Lekki is being constructed intentionally to reduce human interference. The port, of course, naturally is going to have access control gates. It means that if you do not have any business in the port, you will not come in. And we are impressed that we are going to have a port that will be able to compete with a lot of ports in the world, not just in Africa.
The task of driving an enviable non-oil sector in the country does not stop on the table of the Nigerian Sport Authority as the nation's monetary authority. The Central Bank of Nigeria, through the RT200 FX program, set to generate $200 billion in foreign exchange from non-oil export in the next 3 to 5 years.
How do we immediately create a dedicated export route for exporters so that their goods can leave? Many of those containers that bring goods into the country go out empty because of this problem.
The African Free Trade Zone, it's a free trade agreement, is a great advantage that we could use in this regard. And I think that if we do that, we could actually begin to tend towards that $200 billion within maybe 2 or 3 years.
The establishment of 10 export processing parks near port locations across the country by government, management of the Nigerian Port Authority says is geared towards boosting the country's non-oil export trade by 50% in the next 2 years. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Before we go into our discussion with our guests on the program tonight, let's quickly remind you that you can catch live action of the ongoing 12th edition of the Africa Women Cup of Nations. The first game is on as we speak between the host Morocco and Burkina Faso in Rabat. You can watch it live on the NTA Sports 24, channel 270 on Star Times, 434 on StarSat, and of course 731 on Free TV. Now let's quickly welcome Annabelle Kamuche, Group Managing Director, NICET, to Weekend File. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's quickly take a look at this very important topic tonight. And how do you appraise, of course, Nigeria's efforts at strengthening its non-oil export so far?
Okay, so the Nigerian government has done a lot when it comes to strengthening the non-oil export, but a lot needs to be done more to be able to create an ecosystem that works. So for instance, if the government has created some incentive for exporters, they also have to create infrastructure that backs the ability for exporters to be able to export without sweat or be able to export easily. It's easier to export from Togo than exporting from Lagos. So there are things that have already been put in place, but I believe that more needs to be put in place to ensure that people who want to export products seamlessly and it's easy for them. And you know, for export most of the time is time bound. You are carrying perishable products, you are carrying products that you need to get to the destination country before it starts going bad. We need to be able to create those kind of infrastructure both at the seaport and even infrastructure from the places where these products are either being produced or harvested and prepared for export to the ports where it will be exported out of the
let's be practical about your submission right now, because those are the reasons why there are roads being constructed and reconstructed across the nation, and of course the rail lines are back now. These two alone do quite a lot in helping movements of some of these products from where they are being produced to their point of destination. So in your own words or views, what more do you think should be done?
Okay, so I'll give you an example. If, for instance, Nigeria wants to export fresh fruits and vegetables, it becomes difficult because they don't have that infrastructure that would be able to transport fresh fruits and vegetables. So I'll give you an instance from Kaduna. If you want to export fresh ginger from Kaduna, you have the challenge first of being able to get the right kind of cartons, the waxed cartons that you will use in putting this fresh produce. You have the issue of how many vehicles do you have that will be able to carry products in refrigerated vehicles all the way to Lagos. And even if you decide to use reefer containers using the Kaduna dry sea port, it becomes again difficult because of the road and all of that. So the rail is there, yes, but a lot more needs to be done if we really, really want to grow our non-oil export economy.
Quite interesting. What about the areas where normal everyday Nigerians, get busy curating or producing these local contents that are for export. How do we cater for them, or how have we been doing the necessary things, all this while, in catering for them while they continue to do these very important jobs?
Unfortunately, not really. You have people who are producing products that are export bound. Some of them, even to be able to get incubation centers where they can, they don't have, you don't really need to have a lot of money to start, but you want to be able to process your product in a hygienic environment, probably contract packaging and all of that to meet required standards. You might not even be able to get the places where you can do that. There are not a lot of incubation centers. They don't have modular facilities where people can come and do first stage processing of products, semi-processing of products to be able to export. Then the issue of infrastructure. You are looking at, where is the light? The prices of diesel have gone so high that it's almost becoming impossible for small players to be able to continue to do business. And we are talking about being able to do non-oil export. For me, if we must grow in the non-oil export, is to add value, not to export raw materials. If we want to export ginger, my own opinion will be, what are the derivatives of ginger, for instance, that we can export? Let's export dry split ginger. Let's export ginger oil. Let's export ginger powder. These are the places where we'll be able to make a lot of income. Because remember again, if we want it to be sustainable, then it has to be in a way that it becomes beneficial to both the business person or the investor who is investing, and also beneficial to the country, because you will not be able to get money back. But if right now all we are doing is exporting raw material, the value goes to the country that is going to process. So the value, for instance, of cashew goes to Vietnam. So there is a huge industry of that has been built around Nigerian cashew, even though Nigeria has,
all right, let me ask you this. Most of these things, should it be the government that should provide all of this? So what do you make of the policies and the enabling environments that has been already curated by the government for these things to thrive?
Yeah, so I'm not saying government has to, make everything available. Government has to create enabling environment. So if there are states that have industrial parks, for instance, there is nothing stopping an individual, an investor, from going to set up a processing facility there. So if a state, for instance, like Kogi State, like Enugu State, like Oyo State, that have a lot of cashew, can build industrial hubs where people can now come and set up small modular processing facilities for cashew, and then they will be able to sell both locally and be able to export. It has to be a joint effort between the government and the subnationals. Yeah, exactly.
All right, thanks for landing there. You're watching Wicked File. Time for another break. Please stay with us.
Has always dreamt of being in the spotlight. That's why I give him Bornvita for everyday vitality that gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Bornvita, strength to dream.
Lalo, Nigeria are the 9th champions in this competition.
The 12th edition of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations is here with 12 teams, including reigning champions and 9-time winners, Super Falcons of Nigeria, all in contention from July 2 to 23 in Rabat, Morocco. You can catch all the actions live on the NTA Network Service and NTA Sports 24, Channel 270 on StarTimes, 434 on StarSat, and 731 on Free TV. Come, join us to promote another championship round by the Super Falcons. For your advert placement, please call Hawa on 0803 312 1022. Africa Women's Cup of Nations, Rabat 2022. Game on.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent. and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Thank you for staying there. The federal government's efforts at diversifying the economy is yielding positive results as farmers in Imo and Ebonyi State are now paying more attention to enhancing their agricultural products to internationally accepted standard. Kate Osungwa reports that apart from the use of improved seedlings in Imo State, the Ebonyi State government is also engaging in the use of ICT to boost international demand.
And Ebonyi states are known to contribute largely to the nation's gross domestic product, which accounted for close to 70% of her export earnings before the oil boom in the 60s. Products such as cassava, palm oil, the popular Abakaliki rice, pineapple, cucumber, among others, made the states popular both locally and internationally. This pineapple orchard at Omahapu in Ohajigboma local government area of Imo State produces in large quantity and has the added value of turning out pineapple juice and powder of international standard.
The freeze drying is better, but freeze drying needs a lot of capital. When you bring the palm kernels from after removing the oil and the fibers, process it to exporting standard.
Ebonyi produces 4.1 metric tons of rice target per annum. Go to our market, go to Kalago market, go to all the markets, and you see truckloads of that will be moved from our local markets to everywhere.
The advancement of these agricultural products, apart from the international presses, has also created increased demand locally. Anthony Ajuruchi is the Imo State Coordinator, Nigerian Export Promotion Council.
Imo also has people who have been exporting. You know, if you put them even their small measures, we could record about $2.3 million coming to Imo State from this export of this small products.
To achieve the desired international acceptance of Nigeria's agricultural products, experts insist that technology needs to get more attention. Kate Osungwa.
Kano has continued to maintain its leading role as the commissioner center of northern Nigeria with significant contribution to the Nigeria's non-oil export. Aminu Umar reports that stakeholders are optimistic that the state can do better, which however depends on the improvement in infrastructure in addition to addressing what they describe as over-regulations.
Is continuously playing a key role in promoting non-oil export, which is not unconnected with its historical relationship with West African countries, which dated back to trans-Saharan trade that predates the discovery of oil. The non-oil economy is supported by agriculture, mines and industry, in addition to commercial activities, which is supported by large markets, with the popular Douala market, which is among the largest commodity markets in West Africa.
Today, we account for the largest grains market in Africa, which brings the contribution that we do of one of the non-oil exports, which is sesame, that has been in excess of 70% from that market alone of the entire national export of the commodity.
However, challenge in infrastructure, pricing, production capacity and over-regulation, the stakeholders believe are among the obstacles that needed to be addressed to fully gain from the yet to be exploited potentials of non-oil sector.
Non-oil export is a project to be supported, and we call on them to do more. But we call on all that are doing it to ensure that there are interagency collaboration.
The cost of energy has gone up by almost 400%. As it is now, a liter of diesel costs more than 800 naira. So when you look at the value chain, the goods that we buy from Lagos to Kano, the transport that normally goes between 3 to 400,000 naira, now is almost 1 million naira.
They are also of the opinion that manufacturing, which adds value as well as supports agriculture, apart from improving non-oil export capacity of the nation, has the potential to promote unity and understanding, which is key to achieving national security by reducing unemployment rate and bringing people from different cultural backgrounds to work together. In Kano, Amin Umar, NTA News.
We're still discussing with Annabelle Kamuche, Group Managing Director, NICERT. Let's quickly look at the areas you think a government has done enough to promote exports. For instance, one of the reports, especially the one from the Southeast, detailed a lot about how agriculture has also come to play a major role in ensuring that non-oil sector has been a major contributor to the national purse in recent times. How do you react?
Yeah, so I agree that government has done a lot. The Nigerian Export Promotion Council, state governments have been helping with, creating enabling environment. They've also been able to, for instance, what we just heard, where the state government is helping with agriculture, because again, the agriculture for us as a people, because we have over 78 million hectares of arable land, agriculture for us, when it comes to non-oil export, should be one of the top notch that we have to hold on to. So I'm very happy when I hear that state governments are beginning to identify the areas, the value chains within the agricultural sector that they can play in, and bearing in mind that, look, if it's going to be export, it must be in compliance with international standard. So for me, that is kudos to the government, both the state government, the federal government, and all of that. And that is what we now need to intensify, to be able to ensure that we do all that needs to be done to get these products, not just to produce them, but to be able to get them out of the country.
Okay, so what role NICERT now? What role does it do in certification? To meet up with global standard, even as we continue to boost our non-oil sector.
Yeah. So for NICERT, it's the role that we play in the non-oil export is very crucial, because we ensure that products have complied with international standard and give certificate as proof of compliance. So we work with the EcoCert accreditation we have within Nigeria, which was not there before. Auditors and inspectors that are qualified for various schemes. So like the organic, according to the USDA, according to the EU organic regulation, global good agricultural practice standard, for people, for instance, that are doing pineapple. If you want to sell in the European market, you have to be compliant with the global good agricultural practice standard and have certificate as proof of compliance. So all of those standards we are able to certify. And initially, before we came into existence, they have to bring people from Ghana, from Burkina Faso into Nigeria to carry out audit and inspection, making the cost of certification too high. Okay. So when we came in, we realized that for it to be sustainable, we have to train our locals and qualify them for various international schemes. The standards are in compliance to various international schemes, so that they are able to certify Nigerians in Nigeria, bring down the cost of certification, and they would have the certificate as proof of compliance and be able to compete anywhere.
Are we making progress?
Yes. So the NEPC has been very helpful. The NEPC through the export expansion program was able to pay for some associations, about 6 associations, to get their products certified for various international standards. Okay. They've also gone ahead to even pay for producers who have now produced and processed product to be in compliance with HACCP, with halal, and with ISO 22000.
Thank you very much. Thanks indeed for your time tonight on Weekend Val.
Thank you so much.
We were speaking with Annabelle Kabuche, Group Managing Director, NICERT. Of course, you're watching Weekend File on the NTA. Let's pause for break one more time.
And nighttime winners, Super Falcons of Nigeria, all in contention from July 2 to 23 in Rabat, Morocco. You can catch all the actions live on the NTA Network Service and NTA Sports 24, channel 270 on Star Times, 434 on StarSat, and 731 on Free TV. Come, join us to promote another championship run by the Super Falcons. For your advert placement, please call Hawa on 0803 312 1022. Africa Women's Cup of Nations, Rabat 2022. Game on.
Ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer long second Niger Bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha Bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class second Niger Bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
Operational efficiency and combat readiness are dependent on mental and physical fitness, which the Nigerian Navy has demonstrated in its second quarter route march spanning 10 kilometers. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
One might be alarmed by this sight of the rank and file of the Nigerian Navy marching resolutely towards an already selected point. However, there is no cause for alarm, as it is a routine exercise which is part of military training and is performed quarterly or as the need arises to test stamina and resilience. Following a route which will take them from the naval unit to AYA and back to base, the march also offers an opportunity for any recruits to get familiar with the terrain. With the march over, the Chief of the Naval Staff in a message commends his men, reminding them not to rest on their oars in defending the nation.
Nigeria, we have quite a number of security challenges here, which requires the armed forces to be physically present to assist. We cannot do that until we have personnel that are physically fit and capable of engaging the enemy in all terrains.
The route march for this quarter may have taken place on land, but the personnel of the Nigerian Navy are expected to keep marching onwards together to ensure maritime safety. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
Sports update is next.
And have had to forfeit the game 20-0. Nigeria still put on the uniforms.
Nigeria's D Tigers Saturday recorded a 20-0 victory in their second game of the FIBA World Cup qualifiers after their Malian counterparts refused to show up on the court of play. The Tigers' next match is against Uganda on Sunday. In the meantime, the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Dari, has felicitated with all sports journalists in Nigeria and beyond as the world marks the 2022 International Sports Journalist Day. The minister stated that sports journalists in Nigeria ranked very high among other professionals. Meanwhile, journalists have been advised to use the pen profession to promote peace, unity, and national development. This was the major focus as stakeholders celebrated Sports Journalist Day.
We have a lot of young talent in sports and facilities which, if being utilized, will curtail the social vices.
In grassroots tennis, sustaining the exploit of the Junior Tennis Championship to win laurels at continental and international tournaments requires combining sport with education. This, the academy says, is being encouraged among young players.
There are a lot of sports lovers who want to use the rest of their lives, their retired life, to start sports, but they need to be encouraged.
When you develop and support the youth, who are the future of this country, then we are doing something right.
In another news, Nigerian Olympic gold medalist Chioma Ajunwa has once again cautioned sportsmen against the use of drugs.
You must make sure they mind what they take.
At an event at the National Stadium, Lagos, tagged School Anti-Drug Campaign Initiative, the Olympic gold medalist reminded the students of the dangers of engaging in illicit drugs and other social vices which have negative effects on their careers. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NT News.
Of course, a quick reminder that you can watch the 12th edition of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations game live, which has gone about 25 minutes now, and is still goalless between Morocco and Burkina Faso in Rabat, the opening game of that competition. You can watch it live on NTA Sports 24 and NTA Parliament. Well, remember that NTA is vehemently against rape and rapists. Do support us in the fight against them in our society. I am Kenan Ima Abulike. Thank you for watching Weekend Fire tonight, and good night.
I'm actually a passionate baker. I don't rest until everything is done.